Summer is a season of endless, expansive possibilities, blooming, flowers, fruit, parties. Summer is also one of the best times to learn about boundaries. In particular, because summer is such a boundaryless time, it's one of the most perfect times for us to begin to practice and understand where our boundaries are and why holding boundaries is so important for growth. I'm Asia Suler of One Willow Apothecaries, and in this video we explore boundaries as medicine. At its most basic, boundaries are about learning what is self versus non-self. Now, of course, this is always shifting, right? When we're very, very young, we often identify ourselves with our caretakers. Fast forward to our teenage years, and one of the ways in which we know ourselves is through disidentification with our parents or caretakers. So know that this boundary between self and non-self is something that is always shifting and always in the process of being clarified and figured out. I think this is important because sometimes we think setting a boundary is about realizing one hard, steadfast rule, and that's not really how it works. So you might be invited to a potluck one week and have it feel awesome, and you might be invited to a potluck the next week and have it feel draining. This is because your boundaries of where self and non-self are have shifted. So just as we need to come into presence with the now in summertime in a very real way, especially if you're a gardener, the same is true for continuously understanding where our boundaries might be on a moment-to-moment basis. So I remember hearing once this definition of evil as just that which is not you and doesn't belong within your sphere. And it really liberated me and sort of took some of the fear out of the idea of good and bad and the fear around the protection of boundaries. It's just about recognizing what's you, what's not you. And if it's not you and it's inside your boundaries, it's time to ask it to leave. Really, boundaries is about continually looking towards our subtle edge. And where is that subtle edge moving? Now, why summer is such a good time for learning about boundaries is because it is such a boundaryless time, especially in the garden. Gardens are one of the best teachers for boundaries, and they really help us to see how boundaries are essential for growth. Think about a garden bed. If you didn't hold the boundaries of what could grow there and couldn't grow there, you wouldn't have a garden. You'd have a wild space, which is beautiful unto itself. But if we want to grow certain kinds of herbs, vegetables, flowers, or even certain ways of being aware of ourself or certain kinds of experiences in our life, we need to be able to have boundaries. Now, just like in gardens, there's no right or wrong in terms of boundaries. It's all about what you are wanting to cultivate. So I learned this lesson really strongly when I moved into the first house that I bought. The garden there was completely overgrown. At one point in time, it had been a beautiful oasis tended by a master gardener, and it had been basically left for about 5 years before I moved in. And the first year, I just watched everything to see what was there and what was growing. The second year, I started to make some boundaries. I basically had to make the decision, what do I want growing here versus what do I not want growing here? There was no right or wrong answer. It really just came down to what I liked, what worked for me, and what I thought would be most beneficial for the larger landscape. A weed is truly just a plant that's growing in a space where you'd prefer to grow something else. So something that someone else might call a weed, you might call medicine. The same is true for the things in our life that are crossing our boundaries and taking our attention away from what we truly want to cultivate. So whether that's a relationship in your life, or whether that's even a thought form or an idea or a looping pattern of thinking that keeps coming back into your mind, this too is a boundary violation, and it can be taking you away from that which you really want to cultivate in your life. So this is why boundaries are medicine, because they help us become aware of what we are here to cultivate and who we truly are. And the way that we know who we are as individual people in this vastly connected whole is to know where our boundaries are. Drawing boundaries is essential for healing. Whether that's drawing a boundary to take a sick day when you're not feeling well, or whether that's literally drawing a boundary between you and a pathogen that's entered into your body. If we can take this example of healing on a physical level and expand it out to this more energetic or esoteric way of thinking about healing, we can see that boundaries are actually what create the container for us to know ourselves and be able to fill out this vessel that we've been given. And that truly is why we're here, to fill out this person, this individuality, this personality, and give our gifts to the world. And we can't do this without boundaries. The amazing thing is that when we connect into boundaries, it literally can begin to change your consciousness. I like to say that boundaries are psychedelic. When I draw strong boundaries, because of the way in which it actually helps me curate where my thoughts and awareness is going, and also where my energy is going. I draw boundaries when I feel like I'm being energetically depleted. I then have more energy for my life, for the things that feed me. I have more energy for the moment. So for me, this feels like time slowing down. It feels like the ability to luxuriate in life's moment-to-moment joys. Colors are more vivid. Experiences are deeper. All of this happening just from drawing boundaries. Now, of course, it's hard at first to begin drawing boundaries. And before we get to the numinous psychedelic experience of being immersed in our own energy and all of the power that can bring to us, we're probably going to be dealing with guilt, shame, or worry. And that's fine. Just know that when those feelings come up, that's the precursor to being able to get to a space where you feel comfortable and good in asserting your boundaries. And again, your boundaries are always shifting too. So the more you practice saying no in a certain realm or drawing a certain boundaries, the more you'll feel comfortable with that, and then actually be able to expand the ways in which you are holding a container for your energy and your life purpose. So one of the things that I like to do is I just say to myself, I'm going to hold a boundary with that. And it comes in oftentimes when I start worrying about something, or I start future tripping, or I start going into the past and sort of going down that rabbit hole. I will literally say in my mind, or sometimes out loud, you know what? I'm going to draw a boundary with that. It's funny. It shakes up my train of thought. And it really helps me realize that one of the first and most important places that I can set boundaries is within my own thoughts. Now, if you're interested in working with plants to help you hold boundaries, I highly recommend working with any thorned plants. So you can work with any thorned plants just talismanically by bringing in a representation of that plant into your spiritual practice, meditating on the idea of that plant, or taking a flower essence from that plant. One of my favorites for this is blackberry. Blackberry is a plant that will often grow in after an area has been cleared or clear cut. So blackberry is actually this regenerative plant for helping to restore forests. If you've ever gotten yourself into a thicket of blackberries, you know why. Because it keeps people and also other animals out so that these tender young shoots can really get a chance. They are land reclaimers. They are boundary holders in a really sacred way that then create healing and restoration. So if you're interested, you can try working with blackberry flower essence, or even just get yourself a quart of blackberries and really be in presence while you're eating them. Invite the energy of that plant in to come help you learn about how beautiful and life-giving boundaries can be. Now, I want to leave you with one practice that can help you as you start to implement more boundary setting in your life. So this practice is called EFT, or Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's something that I use when I'm having a lot of emotion come up. I find it to be very helpful when I'm trying to draw a boundary, but I'm having guilt or worry come up. So in EFT, we're actually tapping certain meridian points on our body to create greater energy flow. This idea that all negative, quote unquote, emotional states are actually coming from a blockage in energy. And if we can just get that flow moving by acknowledging what we're feeling and tapping on these places on our body, that it can actually help us come into presence. And then through that awareness, just begin to take the edge off the way in which that thought is controlling us. So if you're interested in this, there are tons of tutorials on EFT on YouTube or online elsewhere, so you can look deeper into it. But for now, you don't have to know anything about EFT to just follow along with me with this exercise. So I want you to think about something that you want to hold a boundary with in your life and just notice what feelings come up there. So for me, one of those feelings is guilt. So I'm going to work with this EFT technique with this feeling of guilt. But for you, it might be shame, it might be worry, it might be the fear of missing out. So tune into whatever that feeling is for you about this boundary that you want to hold and use that feeling as we tap so you can follow along with me. Okay? So you can just see where I'm tapping and tap that place on your body too. So you're going to say this statement as you tap. Even though I'm feeling whatever you're feeling, I still completely love and accept myself. Ready? Here we go. Even though I'm feeling guilty, I still completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling guilty about drawing this boundary, I still completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling guilty about drawing this boundary, I still completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling worried about having drawn this boundary, I still completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling overwhelmed by the idea of drawing more boundaries, I still completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm fearful of what might happen if I draw this boundary, I still completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm worried about what might happen if I draw this boundary, I still completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm experiencing guilt, I still completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm new to practicing boundaries, I still completely love and accept myself. Now, hopefully you worked with whatever statement resonated the most for you. I wanted to throw in a few other statements there. And even if you're totally new to EFT and you're like, where was she tapping? Probably even just that experience of saying this out loud, acknowledging it, was helping to release some of these feelings and open you up to actually having the energy to create this boundary. So I hope that this was helpful. If you liked this video, share it with someone else who could really use the medicine of honoring their boundaries. And I'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. What boundary are you wanting to draw in your life? And if you like this content and you want more, don't miss my website, onewillowapothecaries.com. I have so much content over there on my blog, including all of my different online classes. And that's where you can also sign up for my bi-weekly missive, where I send these meditations, tips, and tools to help you connect into the natural world and the naturalness of your own journey.